Yo, what up, everybody? It's your boy. I'm back. Oh my goodness, it's episode 8. Yo, man, I got some shit to talk about today. First of all, let me just do a quick recap because I got a couple texts from some people asking, where was the podcast at? What's going on? And all this, that, and the other. Listen, let me just be honest with you. I have been busting my ass at work. I have been so tired. My job is really labor intensive, and it could be one day where I'm really at my desk all day. It could be another day where I'm outside taking out trash and doing all kind of stuff. I could be sweating one minute and then back in the air conditioning the next minute. You just never know what my job might entail on my day to day. And that's kind of why I like it, because it's unexpected and I'm not just sitting down all day. But listen, I have been busting my whole ass working. I've been working my ass off. So honestly, number one, I got like a slight sinus infection, so I wasn't really feeling good for that. Number two, I just been getting off of work. I have literally been coming home, getting in the shower, eating some food, laying on the couch. That's it. Maybe play a little bit of video games just to unwind and disconnect and laugh with my friends. But I just got into this rotation where it was just work, home, sleep, work, home, sleep, and that's pretty much all it's been. So I had to take a week off. I wasn't really interested in anything except for just trying to get rest and relaxation. But guess what? Your boy's rested and your boy is relaxed. So I'm back. I'm happy to be back. I got a couple things I want to just go over real quick and just kind of talk about before I get into what I really, really, really want to talk about. Number one, thank you to anybody who has texted me, DM'd me, anything, giving me advice or giving me their feedback. I really do appreciate it. All the feedback is welcomed. All the feedback I'm open to, and it's really dope. Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. Everybody has ideas, and I get it. That's cool. I appreciate it. But for me, this whole entire thing is me crawling, walking, and running, but doing it all at my pace, right? So there's some people out there who are more advanced at some of this stuff than I am, and I'm okay with that, right? My 8th episode isn't going to look anything like my 80th episode, but it has to be at my pace. So I appreciate the feedback, and sometimes I'm reaching out to some people that I want to know their feedback. I want to know their opinion, and I really appreciate that. Other times it's just coming in, and I'm cool with that. I'm 100% cool with it. I know that my personality might kind of tell you another thing, but I really am cool with it. But it's just, I need people to understand that it's going to be at my pace, right? So it's like everybody has an opinion about it, which is fine, but just know that I'm not going to be able to, live up to your opinion or live up to your expectation immediately. Right? I don't even know what my own expectation is for this. Really, all I'll be trying to do is make sure the picture looks somewhat good, make sure the sound looks somewhat good, and that's it. That's where I'm at right now with this, right? I'm not a professional. I'm not Philip DeFranco. I'm not Marcus Brownlee. I'm not any of those guys. Them dudes have like a lot more money than me, and they have a lot more time and experience, and they have teams of people, right? So I was just talking to Matt about it the other day. And I'm like, man, if you go back and you look at that Marcus Brownlee video, I think it's like his first or second video, it's nothing like the stuff he does now, right? So it had to be a process for him. And I'm sure he got a lot of feedback and opinions from people, and I'm sure he took some stuff and ran with it or just kind of learned it on his own. But that's just where I'm at. Like, I'm going to learn this shit on my own. Like, let me not say it like that. I'm not going to learn it on my own. I'm going to learn at my own pace. Right. So I still appreciate it. I still, thanks to everybody for all the opinions, but just know that I'm not going to be exactly what you think I should be. Right. Because I don't even know what I want to be. Like, I just like doing this because this shit is fun. Like, as you guys can see, there's boxes. So we're getting ready to move. We actually move next week. So we'll move, and I'll have a studio / office kind of deal, but I still need to buy furniture for it. I still need to get the lighting for it. So everything is an immediate process. So as I keep doing new episodes, hopefully you guys will see things improving and getting a little bit better. I mean, I don't know. I hope. I don't know. But there's a lot of stuff that I don't know. Like I got some feedback from someone who said I look down at my phone too much. Well, let me just tell you why. So, because I'm not super fancy, my phone has a timer on it because my camera was only recording 20 minutes at a time. So, I can't see that anywhere else. So, I hit the time clock on my phone and I'm able to look down and say, okay, all right, I got to wrap up. Or if I show my phone to somebody, it's me saying, okay, we got to get ready to wrap up because this camera ain't going to be recording. The audio is going to record, but not the video. So it's a lot of stuff behind the scenes that I'm just kind of like winging and just kind of figuring out. So just know that it's not going to be perfect. I don't have monitors up all over the place, right? I don't have cue cards. It's not a crew of people here. Like right now, it's just me. So just bear with me, please. Please bear with me, right? All right. So let me just get into some small things before I get into the big shit that I want to talk about. iOS 13. I don't know if you downloaded it. I don't know if it's on your phone yet, but you need to do that shit. I don't know. I mean, it's just kind of dope. Like I like dark mode. Actually, dark mode is gonna perfectly segue us into the topic that I really want to talk about the most. But no, dark mode is dope. If you are in any of my group chats or you're somebody that I talk to, you've already seen my memojis, right? I think my memoji kind of looks like me, but I did make them like more dark skinned than I am. And that's weird because a lot of times people try to go lighter than what they are. Like, you ain't really that light. But I went darker and I realized it. I took a selfie and I was like, yo, I'm not really like that dark. So I went and I only moved my emoji up just one shade. I wasn't trying to be like super bright or nothing. Like I'm just trying to, I don't know. I don't even think I got the right head shape. I just picked the most circle shape that I could find because I think I got a pretty round shaped head. So I don't know. I definitely did try to get the facial hair right, but then I just shaved. So I don't know. My emoji, I like them. I don't know. Fuck it. But yeah, if you haven't downloaded it, download it. Check it out. It's fun. iPhone 11 just came out. I know there was a couple people who text me and was like, am I going to get the phone? Am I interested in it? Blah, 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 blah. And I'm just kind of like, I mean, it looks dope. I mean, real honestly, for this, it might be really great because I would need the extra camera help. But I think I'm gonna be waiting until the 12 comes out, and then I'll get that. Unless I'm forced to get an 11. And if I was to get it, I would go for the 11 Pro. But yeah, I mean, it looks dope, but I don't know. Nothing to me was like, oh my god, this is the coolest shit ever. But then again, that's not really what Apple does, so it's okay. Um, let me see. Let me tell you guys this side story real quick. I just thought of this. It's not even in my notes. Let me tell you guys this crazy shit that happened to us a couple nights ago. Me and the wife, we're chilling at home. We're on the couch watching some TV. We're like, yo, let's order some dinner. We order Uber Eats. Yes, we order Uber Eats. Maybe we order it more than what we're supposed to, but oh well. Unless you about to come over here and cook, we're gonna be ordering Uber Eats. We order up Uber Eats. Everything's all good. I'm like, yo, got an ETA. My wife is like, oh, it should be any minute. And then we're sitting here and our door, like the doorknob turns. It's like somebody's about to come into the apartment. And so obviously I jump up real quick. I go to the door and it's this dude standing there with my food and his daughter. Okay, whatever. And he won't give me the food. And he's like, I need to talk to you. I need to tell you something. And I'm like, what? Like, I don't even know. He's like, I was downstairs and I couldn't get into the building. And there's no code to get into the building. And I had to wait outside until someone let me in. And I called and called and called. I look at my wife. I'm like, did you get a phone call from anybody? She's like, no, nobody called me. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And he's like, this isn't right. I had to wait outside and there's no way to get in the building. And I'm like, in the instructions, we give you the code for our delivery people to get into the building. It's in the instructions. It's very straightforward. He then still hasn't given me my food. He's out in my hallway. He then shows me the phone. And I'm like, it says it right there. Here are the instructions. Here's the code to get in. And then I snatched the food away from him because I was right. And I was like, man, you're a joke. Get out of here. And he said something else to me, and I was like, yeah, yeah, whatever. And I slammed the door. And as I'm slamming the door, because I'm not gonna close it gently at this point. As I'm slamming the door, he goes, "Oh, shut up." And I ain't even do nothing. I ain't even do anything. I just came back in and I was like, I don't know. He was on some other shit. First of all, I don't even why are you trying to come into the apartment when you're a delivery person? Like, what do you think this is? Right? Like what that makes no sense. As he's walking down, you hear him, he punches the wall. He punched the wall. Like, what's wrong with you? First of all, you're food delivery person. We gave you very specific instructions. Then you have your daughter with you. And this is the example you're setting for your daughter. Like, what the hell, man? Like, what's going on in your life? And all you had to do was read the instructions on your phone, and they would have told you exactly how to get into the building and exactly how to get to our apartment, because my wife is very thorough and she makes sure the delivery person has the most detailed instructions possible, right? We do live in a pretty secure building. You can't just walk right into it, and that's part of the reason that we like it. But there is a code that we give delivery people to get into the damn building. That shit blew my mind. I've never seen anything like that. So obviously, like, I was like, well, go ahead and report him, and just, he don't need to be delivering to anybody. And here's my thing. This is what I don't understand. How do you know that I wasn't just on some other shit? And when you confront me at my door, I don't just go out in the hallway and beat the shit out of you. How do you know I'm not that person? Like, you have your daughter with you. How do you know you just don't get stomped out in the hallway in front of your daughter? How do you know? You're going to someone's house. How do you know I don't answer the door because you tried to come in with a gun? Like, come on, man. Like, you have your child with you and this is how you're behaving? Like, I, why? What if I just wanted to snatch you into the house and it was 10 other dudes in here and we just stomped you out? How do you know? You don't know. Like, I don't understand it. It really kind of wrecked my brain for a while. And I'm not gonna lie, like, low key, I told my wife, I told my wife later, I was like, yo, I'm still kind of upset about that. Like, I still kind of wish I would have went back out in the hallway and kind of got into it with him, because I just didn't really appreciate it. I actually went back outside and he was like scurrying down the hallway, and his daughter with her flip flops was running behind him. Like, come on, man. Like, you got to do better than that. So that shit was wild. That's just a side story that I just now thought of. Um, let's get into what I really wanted to talk about the most. Okay, so early in the morning when I go to work, I usually listen to podcasts. And I listen to, the regulars. Obviously, I listen to Joe Rogan. But one of my favorites is Fat Man Beyond. It's Kevin Smith and Mark Bernard. So these guys do a podcast, and it's usually about like the kind of stuff that I like. It's about comics, movies, TV shows, and it's pop culture, but it's pop culture just specifically in the comic and like that kind of lane. So I really enjoy listening to it. And they have a segment towards the end of their podcast where Mark, who is a former journalist and now he like writes for TVs and movies and stuff, he's actually writing on season 2 of Carnival Row. He wrote on the new show Treadstone that's going to be in the Jason Bourne universe, and he's writing the new Masters of the Universe that's going to be on Netflix. So Netflix is doing an anime, a He-Man anime that Kevin Smith is going to direct, and Mark Bernard is writing some of the episodes. So he's a writer for like entertainment now, but at the core, he was a journalist. So he drops the bomb. Now, I had already heard that Marvel came out and said that they were looking at Denzel Washington for an iconic villain role, right? So obviously people start going crazy. Me, I'm all cosmic. So I'm like, yo, how dope would it be if Denzel Washington was Galactus? That would be so dope. But other people said Magneto, and a lot of stuff was kind of floating around. For me, I'm just excited. Like, Denzel is a world-class actor. Like, so if they're eyeing him for an iconic villain role, it's going to carry a lot of weight to it. Mark might have said on the podcast this morning that Marvel, it's a rumor. Let me just get that out there. This is a rumor. It's just a rumor, right? So don't be, holding me to this. They come out 2 years later and you say, oh, no, you were wrong. It's just a rumor, guys. It's just a rumor. Calm down. But he said that Marvel was playing with the idea of when they reboot the X-Men, making the X-Men in that world people of color. I'm like, what? Yo, that would be crazy. So what the rumor is, Professor X would be a black man, Magneto would be a black man, and then just the mutants involved in that would just be more people of color. Like that blew my mind, got me so excited. Like really, 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 really excited. So I'm like, oh shit, like what? That would be wild. So then I'm thinking, oh, so that's it. Maybe they're looking at Denzel actually for Magneto. So I'm like, oh, that's so perfect because the X-Men's ideology completely mirrors prejudice, racism, and the civil rights movement. If you know anything about X-Men and you know about, Professor X's, Xavier's ideology, and you know Magneto's ideology, it is pretty much a mirror image of Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X. Right, so you have Professor X, who's more about desegregation, who's more about peaceful means to get equality, but then you have Malcolm X, who still wants equality, who still wants mostly equality, but is willing to do it by any means necessary. Where Martin Luther King Jr. is more about peaceful protest and having that diplomacy and talking it out and everything. Where Malcolm X is more, no, we need to go and take this. Right, because no one's gonna give it to us. We have to go and take it. So, if you know anything about X-Men, you know that's Professor X. Professor X is more, let's live with the humans. They could be allies. We can all be equal together. We can live together. We can be neighbors with each other. Like everything can be fine. And Magneto is fueled more by his aggression and more about, no, we're not gonna just talk things out. We're gonna try to take this, and if we need to, we'll completely segregate ourselves. But Magneto is definitely the more militant, more aggressive one. Professor X is the more peaceful one. So when I heard this, I'm like, man, that makes so much sense. Like, to me, it makes sense. I know to other people it might not make sense, but I would challenge those people to say, well, why wouldn't it make sense? Like, what else would be the perfect mirror image? Right. So Stan Lee has already gone on record. He already said that when he created the X-Men, that wasn't his thought process initially. He just wanted to get a new team out there. He was originally going to call them the Mutants, but the publisher was like, no, we're not going to go with the Mutants. No one knows what a mutant is. So he came back and said, well, these people have extra powers, so I'll call them X-Men. And he named Professor Xavier because Xavier starts with an X, so he could just be Professor X, so he could be like the leader of everything. So he took that back to the publishers. Publisher said, yeah, great, let's do X-Men. So what happened was, as those comics start to roll and everything, he starts to realize, oh wow, like this, he starts to gain basically inspiration from the civil rights movement and from these two real life figures who are really, really, really big deals, right? And he's already gone on record and said, in his eyes, Magneto isn't a villain. He's just somebody who's willing to do whatever it takes to get equality for his people. Right. So you have all these similarities where in the comics and the cartoon, how the X-Men and mutants just across the planet are treated just because they're a little bit different. So Stan Lee said, he wanted the X-Men to be a way to kind of combat prejudice and racism, because why would you want to treat somebody differently just because they're a little bit different than you, right? Like, they can be a little bit different and we can all be equal. It's okay. So he said that initially he just wanted to get a new team out there, but then seeing the social climate and seeing the zeitgeist and just being a part of it, he started to integrate it a little bit more into the storylines. He always said that he wanted to mirror social images that were going on at the time, but not beat you over the head with it. So X-Men are not like a super political comic series or anything, but they do deal with things that we were dealing with in real life. So if I think about Marvel and Disney rebooting the X-Men, man, that could be absolutely amazing, right? And to me, it makes all the sense in the world. And can you imagine? Can you imagine Denzel Washington as Magneto? Now, a lot of you may not have ever watched the Malcolm X movie. Here's some homework. Go watch the Malcolm X movie, right? It is a phenomenal movie. Number one, it's a great story, right? Because you learn more about Malcolm X, more than, maybe just someone might have told you, right? But you learn more and you get to see Denzel Washington act his ass off. Denzel absolutely kills the role. And that's really the role that he probably should have won an Oscar for. But you're playing Malcolm X and Oscar so white and all of that. So, they're not gonna give you an Oscar back then for playing Malcolm X, right? Like, I think we can all agree on that, right? So, but watch the movie and you can see how he could channel that energy and put that into Magneto. And now Denzel's a little bit older, he's a little bit more seasoned, he could be a little bit more grizzled. His Magneto could have seen a lot more things, right? So he could offer a lot more to that role. So to me, it would be just amazing. Yes, I'm looking down because I'm looking at my notes for anybody who's about to critique me. Oh God, no, I'm just kidding. Um, here's the thing though. If you're not okay with this, I kind of challenge you, like I said, to figure out why you're not okay with it. Like the X-Men have been around since like the 60s. So we have decades and decades and decades of the characters being exactly the same, right? The majority of the X-Men team is white men. Like just like the majority of a lot of old comics were just white men and white people, right? So I don't think it would be that crazy to think that the X-Men could be a more diverse group of people. All right. So I wrote down the X-Men, right? So here we go. We got Cyclops, right? Cyclops, low key, one of my favorite superheroes of all time. Cyclops is the man. I know he gets shit on a lot, but Cyclops is the man to me. But Cyclops, white guy. Wolverine, white guy. Beast, white guy. Even though he's covered in blue and he was, he transformed at the core in the beginning, white guy. Professor X, obviously white guy. If you wanted to count Havoc and Cannonball, you don't have to, but two white brothers, white guys. Archangel, white guy. Colossus, white guy. Uh, so it's not that crazy to think that, do they all have to be kind of the same? Then you got Jean Grey, white woman. You got Rogue, white woman. You got Storm, black woman, right? We all know Storm. We all love her. We all want her to be in the Black Panther movies. We got Jubilee. I think Jubilee was Latina, maybe Asian. I don't know. I honestly don't know what Jubilee was, but I don't think she was a white girl. Now, here's the thing. You can count Bishop as a part of the X-Men. He's a black guy from the future, right? But of everyone I just named, why couldn't any of those characters be black guys? Like, why not? It's not like we don't exist. Like, it's not the Jetsons where there's no black people in the future. It's not the Flintstones where there's no black people in the past. Like, I think we're kind of over that at this point, right? So you really could have a black Professor X. You could have a black Cyclops. Wolverine, I don't really care about. Wolverine could be anything. Just don't make him 6'2", 6'3", because that's a disservice to short people. That's just a joke. Don't take it too seriously. Havoc and Cannonball, they could be brothers. They could be adopted brothers. They could be step brothers. I don't know. They could be half brothers, but they don't necessarily have to be white guys. And also, I have nothing against white guys. I don't, right? I'm just giving you guys the history and what we've been reading and what we've been watching on TV for decades now. Like, I just named all those people in the X-Men, and like, I guess you can count Bishop. I mean, he was on a TV show, but like, he wasn't a part of the original team, right? And there's no black guys on there. Like, why? Like, why can't we be heroic, right? So, neither here nor there. But Archangel definitely could be somebody of color. I guess my point is, all of these people could be people of color. So it's not that far stretched to think, oh man, if they rebooted the X-Men, we absolutely will want more diversity. And I think diversity is the way to go. Like, clearly it's doing well. Black Panther, great movie, based in Africa, mostly black cast, did a phenomenal job, right? So it's out there and people want it, right? I'm a black man. I grew up reading comics. I did not read that many comics where there was a lot of black men in them. There just wasn't. Like, I watched X-Men cartoon, but you can even see, I don't know if you can see, but all the comics right here in front of me, there's a classic Wolverine comic from my childhood. Everything else is Silver Surfer because I'm a massive Silver Surfer fan. I'm going to get to that later. Don't worry. But in all of these comics, these are basically white guys. Like, even the Silver Surfer, Norrin Rad on his planet, he's a white guy. And that's a whole nother planet. Like, huh? And I understand why when these characters are created, you just didn't really see black characters out there that much. Yes, there's a Blade. Yes, there's a Black Panther. Yes, I know that they're sprinkled in there here and there, but it's just not representative of the world really, right? So I don't think it's too far stretched to say, if they reboot this, let's go ahead and get some black guys in there. Let's get some brothers in there. Let's get some brothers in there. Let's get some Latino brothers in there. Let's get some Asian brothers in there. Let's get just people from different backgrounds, right? Because if Professor X opens up this school, clearly it's not just going to be all for white students. Like, that ain't going to be it. You're going to get kids and students from all over who are trying to do the right thing and control their powers. So why not make them a diverse group of people, right? It's not too crazy to think the leader of the X-Men can be a black man. Like, that's not insane to me, and it shouldn't be insane to any of you. And if you have a problem with it, I'm just gonna say you might need to evaluate that. Oh no, you shouldn't have a problem with it, but if you do, you might need to look into it because it really shouldn't be an issue. So I'm hearing this news this morning and I'm hyped. I'm like, oh man, I know it's just a rumor. I get it. I understand. But this shit could be so big. Already, everybody is so excited to that Marvel even got the X-Men and all those Fox characters back. Everybody has faith that Marvel and Disney is going to execute it the right way. Or at least I got faith in it. Like, I think it's going to be pretty good. But man, for me, and I know for people who look like me, this would be a massive thing. For people who don't look like me, it will give you an opportunity to see more black men in a heroic role, right? We don't have to always be, stereotypical. And that's one thing I do love about being alive right now. Like, there's so many different examples of brothers out there doing positive things and not being that stereotypical character anymore. Like, I really love that. But just to be real with you, like I said, like, I grew up reading comic books, and I can't think of any comic book that I had where there were black protagonists in it. Like, that's crazy. So for me, growing up to be a strong, proud, educated black man, I didn't learn that necessarily from comics. I love comics. It's a part of my life. It's a really, really big part of my life. But I don't know. I guess it kind of always I guess when it came to characters and all that, up until I became an adult, I didn't even really pay attention that they were pretty much all white guys. Like, everything that I love from my childhood is pretty much white guys. Like G.I. Joe, I used to love G.I. Joe. G.I. Joe, real American heroes, right? I think there was like a black guy, but all the main ones were white, right? Oh, you had Snake Eyes. He was dressed in all black, but I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that's probably not a brother up under there. Like, it's probably an Asian guy, which is cool. But that's just another example of not seeing people who look like me. Or for me, when I was a kid, Thundercats. Thundercats used to be my favorite shit in the world. I like to believe that if Thundercats, if they weren't cats, I think Lionel was a black man. I think he was. I know he had the long mane and everything, but I don't know. I like to think he was a black guy, right? Or I forget what's the other guy's name that drove the big tank. That dude was definitely a brother. But anytime it was time to do like a black character, they were like not black. They were something else. Like, and I never understood that, right? So for a lot of you, you might have grown up watching cartoons or watching movies, reading comics, playing with action figures, and you never thought about it because they all looked like you, right? But then there was a whole entire group millions of children who look like me who didn't necessarily have that. So if now I get to be nostalgic and I get to watch the X-Men in a live action movie, and if they're going to make these iconic characters black men or people of color, I'm all here for it. And y'all should be all here for it too. Like it's time to change things up. Like we've had decades and decades of kind of the same thing. And that's the whole thing with James Bond. Like people have always been so protective of James Bond. There's nothing in the James Bond like arc that says he has to be a white guy. Nothing. Nothing at all. Right? There's nothing in the X-Men. There's nothing for Magneto that says Magneto has to be a white guy. For anyone who's thinking, well, no, he was a Jew, he was in a concentration camp, he saw his parents, that only came about in 1981, right? So for a good 20 years, he was just the angry, aggressive dude. So there's nothing that says he has to be anything. He could be whatever we want him to be, right? There's some naysayers out there who say, oh, okay, well, that's fine. If that's the case, the Black Panther doesn't have to be a black man. I mean, his whole arc, though, is based around him being African. like, like that's petty to me. Like, come on, like, let's just get with the times. Of course he has to be a black guy. Like, he is the king of an African nation. How the hell would it look to have another white guy be the king of an African nation? What? See, it doesn't make sense. So there's nothing that's nailing these characters down to say that they have to be one particular race. Like they just don't have to be. They just have always been that because that's what, I don't know, I guess that's what you had to do in order to sell books. Like I would imagine that if Stan Lee went to his publisher and the X-Men and Professor X, or not even all the X-Men, but if Professor X and Magneto were black men, I would imagine, right, in the 60s, the publisher would have been like, get the fuck out of here with that. What do you think you're doing? If he had a self-published it, I don't think Marvel will be what it is right now. So I think you had to kind of do what everybody else was doing, but we're past that day and age. Right now you can do anything. You can make anyone anything. And there's not anything that says these people have to be a certain race. If you're talking about Colossus, yeah, he has to be a white guy. He's Russian. Like, I have never even seen or heard of a black Russian. I'm sure that they're out there, black people all over the world, but I ain't never seen no black Russian. If you have ever seen a black Russian, please hit me up in the comments. DM me because I don't think they exist. I don't know. If you're talking about Nastasha Romanoff, yes, she has to be a white woman. She's Russian, right? So some of those things are okay. We want people to represent different cultures and be from different parts of the world and represent different races and ethnicities. But a lot of these characters, there's nothing that says they have to be one thing or the other. So I guess all I'm really trying to say is, let's go ahead and reboot the X-Men. Let's make Professor X a black man. Let's make Magneto a black man, right? And watch that shit blow up. Now you're going to get the racists, and you're going to get the haters, and you're going to get all the people and all the different, toxic comment sections talking shit and blah, 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 blah. But I mean, every time I see anything like that, that just lets you know kind of what people are and who they are and their thought process about stuff, because you have a problem with that. Like, first of all, they're fictional characters. Like, they're not based off of real people, right? So they're fictional characters. So if we wanted to make them anything, like, it should work, right? Like, there's nothing that says it has to be one thing. So I don't know. I'm excited. That's just my 2 cents, I guess. I mean, definitely hit me up in the comments. Hit me up. DM me. Let me know what your thoughts are. I posted it earlier today on Instagram, and I asked people to share their thoughts with me, and one person shared their thoughts. I know there's some of you out there who got some different thoughts about things, and I'm wondering, why didn't you say anything? We could talk about it. Like, I'm not going to be offended. Like, you just heard my point of view. I don't think I sound aggressive or angry about it. I'm just saying it's not nailed down to one type of thing. But, I know there's people out there who feel a certain kind of way about different things. And that's okay. Like, you could have a conversation with people. Like, for me, I never liked Hugh Jackman as Wolverine because he's too damn tall. He's 6'2", 6'3". Wolverine was 5'3" in the comics. That always has resonated with me because I'm short. Now, I'm not 5'3", but I'm short. So Wolverine was always short, stocky, savage. So when you get this dude whose legs are as long as my body, right? He's in like a 32 extra, extra long jean. I'm not feeling that. I'm not feeling it. I never liked Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. I don't care what you say. Give me a short, stocky guy who goes crazy on people, who tears people apart, who smokes cigars, who curses, right? Who just is a scrappy fighter. So that I got off on a tangent on that, but I've talked to my other friends about Wolverine plenty of times, right? But I think as long as the right people are cast, I think as long as it's written and executed the right way, which I mean, it's Marvel. Like we've seen like a lot of movies from them that we've all been like, that was pretty damn good. So I don't think there's any reason for it to stop now. But I think as long as all those things are done, then we should be good, right? Like I'm excited for it. Other Marvel news. Listen to me. They have talked about, well, I think it's official now that Marvel is developing a Silver Surfer movie. Y'all don't know how excited that makes me. I'm more excited about that than I am about Black X-Men. Straight up. For some reason, I don't know why, the Silver Surfer has always resonated with me. He is ultra powerful, right? And I think that's one of the things that I love. But then he's honorable, he has integrity, he has morals, he has a work ethic, like he's all these things, and he's above a lot of like human like emotions, I guess. And he always pretty much does the right thing. So I love it when it's a ultra strong character who like really stands for something. So I don't know what age I was. I don't know when I realized it, but every single comic down here, like I said earlier, these are all Silver Surfer comics. And he never got treated right in any of those whack ass movies. Matt always loves to say, "Oh yeah, the Silver Surfer, he got beat by the National Guard or by the army." Like realistically, that would never happen. Like that movie was so bullshit. They shot like a rocket at him, like, or they threw a net on him or something. Like that shit would never, ever happen, right? Silver Surfer is so damn strong. No army on Earth is beating him. Like, I'm sorry, that shit's just not happening. But they're talking about it's in development. I don't know how they're gonna do it, but I think it's supposed to come out in 2022. Maybe I think is what I've been seeing float around on the internet, but a little bit of background about Silver Surfer. His name is Norrin Radd. He's from another planet. Galactus came to his planet because Galactus has to devour planets in order to stay alive. That's his life fuel, basically. He doesn't like to do it. He doesn't dislike it. He just knows he needs to consume planets in order to survive, right? And I think that's what's fun about Galactus is he don't give a damn. He just be hungry. He don't know. He don't care how he get the food. He just wants food. So he always has a herald who he sends out into the galaxy or into the bigger universe to find planets that are like ripe that he could eat and then keep sustaining his life. So all Galactus does is jump around from planet to planet, devouring planets. But before he does that, his herald is out scouting and looking for locations. So he's had a bunch of different heralds, but his most famous herald and his most powerful herald is Norrin Radd, Silver Surfer. So what happened was Galactus came to Norrin's planet, and Norrin's wife was there, his loved ones was there, and as he started to devour the planet, Norrin was basically the only one that spoke up and was like, wait, don't devour this planet. What if I could find you another planet? Or what if I can find another alternative for you? And again, Galactus don't care. He just wants to eat. So he was like, okay, cool. I'll spare your planet. You'll find me more planets, and it'll be a lifelong, it'll last for eternity. You'll always be my herald. You'll always go out and find planets for me. Norrin Radd said, okay, deal. Left his wife, left his family, went up into space. Galactus gave him the power cosmic, which is, I don't know how to describe the power cosmic. It's just some real powerful shit, right? And gave him all these powers, made him his herald. and sent him out into the universe to go find planets. So that's how he became it. But the reason why he's so powerful is because he was Galactus's favorite herald, and I want to say he was his first herald too. So he gave him a lot of power. Out of all of Galactus's heralds, Silver Surfer is pretty much the only one that can fight him or reason with him. I've read comics where Galactus is like pissed off and he's ready to kill everybody, and like the only person that could get through to him is Silver Surfer. So Silver Surfer might fly up to a ship or something, and he's just like, Galactus, let's just talk about it. And then Galactus like flicks him or something because he's super massive, and then they get into a fight, and the whole time he's fighting, Silver Surfer is trying to reason with him and logic with him. That's it. I think that's why I like him so much, because every time he tried to fight Galactus, it was all from a logic standpoint. Like, let me just logically talk to you. I love Logic, not the rapper. He's all right. He kind of get on my nerves, but I think that's one of the reasons why is as he's always fighting Galactus, or whenever he would fight Galactus, he would always be trying to reason with him and get Galactus to calm down so that he could talk to him and find another solution for Galactus. And that's basically his story. Now, there's a lot more that he has to offer. There's a lot more about his power scale. He has fought Thor before. He's beat Thor, but then there's a version of Thor where Thor just kind of goes crazy and he turns into like a really, really wild Viking. That version beat Silver Surfer. Beta Ray Bill, who's another one of my favorite cosmic characters. Silver Surfer and him have fought, but mostly they team up together. But there's a lot of cosmic entities out there that Silver Surfer is stronger than. So when you talk about introducing a character like Silver Surfer to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I don't think right now there's anybody as powerful as him. Captain Marvel right now in all these movies is the most powerful out there. Like, she's hands down the most powerful. But I think once you get to space, I don't think she's on a Silver Surfer level. Like, I think it might go like maybe like a Captain Marvel, then an Adam Warlock, then a Silver Surfer. Some people might put Adam Warlock over Silver Surfer, and I might just be putting him up there because I'm really partial to Silver Surfer because he's my favorite. But I just know he's ultra, ultra powerful. And listen, they do a live action movie of that. I'm probably going to go see it 10 times in the movies, and I'm going to cry 10 times in the movies because I'm so excited about that. Like, that shit is a big deal to me. But yeah, so that's just kind of everything. So I'm really excited about this X-Men rumor. Again, we don't know if it's going to come true. And this iconic villain that they're thinking about Denzel for, it really could be like a Galactus or somebody else. I know that Marvel is also interested in working with Keanu Reeves. Who knows what he might be? I think a lot of people are thinking Keanu Reeves would end up being Adam Warlock. I think that would be real weird to see Keanu Reeves like blonde, because Adam Warlock is like, is he blonde? Well, I guess he's not blonde. I guess he's blonde and gold. He's like the perfect specimen, and he's like gold. But I don't know. I think that would be pretty cool. But we'll see where they go with this whole possible black X-Men, black Professor X, black Magneto, and we'll see just kind of what happens with it. Let's see. Next week we're moving. So I don't know if I'm going to record an episode next week because I'm probably going to be just in moving phase. So I don't know. We'll see. You know, something might come out and I might just want to do a quick episode real quick. I'm going to keep trying to improve and get better and improve the video, improve the sound. Today I switched it up. I'm recording this actually on my phone. So hopefully it looks pretty good. I increased my iCloud storage, so I hope this episode saves. If it doesn't, I'm probably gonna have a nervous breakdown. Just kidding. I'm probably just gonna re-record it. But after next week, we'll be moved in. I'll hopefully be back to like a regular schedule and just keep going on. I still have some guests that are lined up, but I wanted to get into my new space and get kind of situated before I bring more guests in. And you know, I just appreciate you guys for just being on the journey with me. Like, subscribe, please go to YouTube, subscribe to my channel, share it, and yeah, thanks. So this has been episode 8. Peace.